We here at College Hack like to help adults graduate college quickly and inexpensively so that they can build a career that they love. But to graduate fast, you need to earn college credit fast. And with some of the options we're about to talk about, you can literally earn college credit later today with knowledge that you either already know or can pick up very quickly. Remember that a normal college class usually takes 8 to 16 weeks and about 144 man hours. That is the time to beat, and trust me, it is not going to be hard. Back in the 60s, America invented the CLEP exam. CLEP stands for College Level Examination Program, and basically it's an assortment of 30 plus college level tests where if you pass them at a certain score, you can get college credit at schools that accept them. They usually focus on general education stuff like entry-level biology or entry-level math or entry-level college composition, but they also have quite a few upper-level advanced business classes. These tests usually take under 2 hours, and depending on your knowledge level, the prep time is going to vary. Like if you're fluent in Spanish, you could go earn 9 college credits right now. I'm kind of a bookworm, so I passed the Analyzing and Interpreting Literature CLEP exam in like 15 minutes worth of study because I just basically lived and breathed the kind of stuff that they tested me on there. And like if you're an American history buff, boom, there's like 6 easy college credits for you right there. But if you're going to take a CLEP about a subject you know nothing about, I'm going to guess that for most people, most of these tests are going to take somewhere between 20 and 40 hours to study for. But that's kind of the cool thing about being an adult going back to college. You've lived a life where you've learned a lot of information. You're mostly, in some cases, trying to just get credit for the things you already know. A ton of you guys are going to be able to take at least 10 of these CLEP exams and study for them in under 10 hours and just be able to go knock it out. And if that sounds impossible to you or you're doubting your ability to do it, I've got like a zillion videos on this channel where we interview people who have successfully done just that and who are sitting where you're sitting right now thinking like, oh, I could never do that. This whole list depends on you just believing that you can do it, or at least being willing to give it a shot. And I promise this whole thing is very low risk. In fact, with CLEP exams, if you study for them using Modern States free courses, they will actually pay for your CLEP test as well. It's like a charitable nonprofit kind of deal. That's college credit for free. What do you have to lose? But overall, CLEPs are a really great choice for earning college credit because they are very easily transferable, accepted at tons of schools. They can be drop dead free. They take very little time to study for if you have a little bit of pre-existing knowledge. Really good option. There are over 35 DSST exams, and they're like CLEP, but they're usually a little bit less focused on entry-level stuff and more on niche or upper-level courses. For instance, we've got technical writing, fundamentals of cybersecurity, ethics and technology, the Civil War and Reconstruction. The CLEP would do like U.S. History 1 or U.S. History 2. The DSST is like, no, let's focus on one aspect of that. A lot of other really great ones here. And a lot of times DSSTs, what they're useful for is for filling up a upper level requirement. DSSTs are much more likely than CLEP exams to transfer in as a 300 or 400 level course, which you'll often need to be able to fill a quota with whatever major you've chosen. But they can also help fulfill, very specific major course requirements. Like if you need a advanced history elective and a history of the Vietnam War will transfer in, great, DSST is exactly what you'll need. And there are quite a few options like that throughout here. There are even some tests that sort of align with CLEP, but schools will transfer them in as a slightly different course code. So you can study one subject, but earn 2 tests worth of credit for it. But if you are going to go for DSST, just know that they're a little bit harder to study for than CLEP exams. CLEP exams, there's tons of study resources all over the internet, including Modern States, which is free. DSSTs, there's nothing quite like that. And because of that difficulty, they're going to probably take, I would say, 10 more hours to prep for than your average CLEP exam. But there are going to be situations where that is the only credit that will fulfill a requirement in your degree. And I love this next section because we're going to talk about the 4 S's of third-party college level courses. There are literally 4 companies out there that all do basically the same thing, at different levels for different prices with different levels of, variety and transferability. But we're going to hop into it with my favorite, Study.com. Study.com has about 220 different college level courses where if you go through Study.com's platform, take those courses, and then transfer the credits to a school that accepts them, you can earn college credit so quickly, so cheaply. And the best part is that, compared to CLEP or DSST or those kinds of exams, there's no proctoring, and it's just like all in one platform. So it's very simple. Here you can see some of the courses that Study.com offers. We got sociology, general chemistry, but what is really important to notice is the upper division. Other third-party credit providers will often have some kind of upper level, but nobody has nearly as much as study.com. Just so many options in so many areas, particularly in business and computers, but also a lot in like healthcare management and psychology and history and even a little bit of writing. It's very impressive what they have. Oh yeah, and education, which is just awesome. The way it works for them is that they have two different plans you can sign up for, either College Starter for $95 a month, do 2 courses at a time, and you have access to 70 of their general education, like basically the most commonly used courses, or you can pay $235 a month and have access to all 220 courses and take 3 courses at a time. And there's some other options and benefits here sprinkled throughout. Their lessons have video and text. They've got an app. They let you skip lessons if you already know the information. There's a lot of really cool stuff. And I would say that your average study.com course is going to take between maybe like 10 hours for a really simple entry-level one, or one that you already know a lot about, all the way up to maybe 30 hours for something that is a lot more complicated. And that brings us to the second S for third-party course providers, and that is Straighterline. You can see that they've got a lot of different courses to choose from, you know, business, education, health, science, humanities, IT, language, science, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton of good stuff here. Their pricing model is a little bit different, so they charge $99 a month plus the cost of the course, and they have a lot of courses available. They have a lot of partner schools that they interact with and that have accepted credits from them. And overall, they provide a pretty solid opportunity here. And just like study.com and the other S's that we're going to talk about, they basically say, hey, here's a course that you work your way through. When you get to the end, you take a test or you do some, you know, projects like a paper or presentation that you record, and then we give you a grade and we say, hey, we certify that Billy Bob knows something about this subject. Will you please grant them college credit for what they've done? And then the school, whether they accept it or not, is up to them. You know, usually there'll be like a partnership or an agreement between Straighterline and the school, so you know that the credit is going to transfer. You don't have to guess or hope. But yeah, then you get the college credit and you move on to the next one. Probably the coolest thing about Straighterline is that they are going to have a couple of courses that you can't get anywhere else, but most notably with these guys, you can actually do labs. So if you are looking to get a master's degree that wants to see actual physical lab work being done for your gen eds, this is the place to go. So you can, you know, here do anatomy and physiology 2 lab. They send you the stuff that you need. It's an add-on course to the course that you're already taking, and then you go and do experiments or dissections or whatever the heck they're doing here from the comfort of your own home. Next up, we've got Old Reliable, Sophia. They do charge $99 a month, but I mean, that's nothing when you consider that I've had clients and people who watch this channel who've knocked out, you know, well over 60 credits worth of Sophia courses in under a month, which is incredible. And you can see some of the courses that they offer. I mean, we got business, career success, computer science and IT, a lot of humanities, English, language, math, science, you know, all sorts of really good stuff here. And you can see here some of the schools that they directly partner with, where there is an agreement. Hey, we will take Sophia courses if you take them and transfer them to our school. We've got Colorado State University Global, Columbia Southern University, Franklin University is also a residential program. A lot of these are online, but a lot of them are physical. Liberty University is a big name, Purdue Global, and then a couple of schools that we don't like to talk about, like University of the People or University of Phoenix. Not huge fans of those ones, but if you're going there, Sophia is a great way to get some college credit. Sophia has a really great desktop user experience, and their courses can be done very quickly. They're going to, on average, be about the same length as a study.com course, but they are going to have a handful that you could knock out in under 5 hours. In fact, I've got a video on this channel somewhere where I did exactly that. It was only a 1 credit class, but it was still like, I don't remember, like an hour and a half or something. Actually, no, I think it was under 30 minutes. Anyway, I need to go watch more of my own videos, I guess. And we come to the final S. Saylor.org. These guys are really cool because they are technically free. Now, they don't have a lot of courses to choose from, and I'll show you which ones they do have. They are not always as accepted by schools as some of the other ones we talk about because they're just so small. They just, you know, garner a lot less traction than some of these other companies with a little bit more money to push around. But they do have some really good options here, and ones that can be very, very useful in a tight spot for a requirement that, you know, you might not have been able to source from anywhere else. But the really cool thing about Saylor is that they're actually free to take their courses. I mean, they do have a $5 proctoring fee, but that is nothing. I mean, with inflation, that is practically free. At the same time, CLEP is completely free, and with some of the great deals and how fast you can work through the plethora of courses to choose from with some of these other providers, you know, those might as well be free also with just how cheap the college credit is there. So I don't think that most people are going to want to use Saylor a bunch, but it's a really good option for when you get into a tight spot and, you know, maybe need an upper level credit really quickly and you don't want to pay for a whole month subscription with study.com, or maybe you need to go and and fill a particular requirement in your degree plan, and only Saylor has it. Next up is a really cool niche one brought to you by Arizona State University, ASU, which I happen to think is one of the highest quality online college programs out there. They have what's called Universal Learner courses. Now, I think you pay like a $25 fee to save your spot in a course with them, and they have a lot of courses to choose from here, but essentially you go through that course, you get whatever grade you get, and then if you're like, hey, you know what? I learned all that stuff. I'd actually like to get college credit for it. You only have to pay $400 to upgrade that course to a college credit. Incidentally, if you get a grade that you don't like, you don't have to upgrade it, and nobody has to know about it, and you're only out $25. And they have about 75 college courses to choose from, and you can see it's going to be a lot of the normal spread of general education level courses, but they do have some advanced 300 level courses. For example, Excel in business, business project management, business data visualization, lots of really good stuff here. Incidentally, this seems to be very related to Hank Green's study hall partnership with ASU, where they basically gave everything that you needed to know to pass these courses and set it up with ASU, and then again, you only had to pay the $400 to turn it into actual college credit if you passed. But the really cool thing about this offering is that ASU actually has a really good reputation. And so if you're looking to transfer these credits to somewhere, especially somewhere that maybe doesn't want people testing out of things because they don't trust these newfangled ways of earning college credit, and here you come along with very well trusted transfer credit from ASU that, you know, you maybe still learned at your own pace and basically did test out of, but ASU said it's good, so it must be good. Well, that can actually make those credits a lot more usable in different college environments. What's really cool though is that some schools will actually let you just test out of their own courses. Some faculty member in a cubicle in the back room somewhere put together a list of questions, and if you get a high enough score, boom, you don't have to take that course or maybe even get college credit for it. Here's an example from Liberty University, which has Institutional Challenge Examinations, or ICE, and they got a lot of different ones to choose from, but they're mostly focused on courses that can't be CLEP'd because there's just not a CLEP for them. And so you can go through and, you know, who knows, maybe you don't have to take this course. They even have some at the graduate level, which is honestly very cool. At just about any school you go to, this is going to cost money, somewhere between like probably $100 to $150. It will probably be pretty difficult to take, and there's not going to be a lot of study resources for it, because in those situations, they really want to make sure that you're not just learning, that you actually know the information, because they're thinking, well, if this person was just going to learn it anyway, we might as well charge them tuition dollars so that we can teach them this information. But internal credit exams can be really useful if you're trying to get out of, you know, maybe a really easy entry level welcome to the department kind of course, so that you can get on to bigger and better things and take courses you're actually excited about. Next up, we have portfolio credit. And this is really cool because you can leverage work experience and self-study into just being given credit for what you know. You might still have to prove it by writing a paper, by getting a resume, by getting a letter of recommendation, showing off a work project that you did. But I actually did courses like this myself and was able to skip out of like 14 credits just because the degree I was getting was exactly my job. And so I just was like, yeah, look, I've already done this thing. Can I please not take this course? They looked at my resume, they read the couple of essays that I wrote about the subject, and they're like, oh yeah, you kind of do know what you're talking about. And they let me just, you know, go on my way and have those college credits. Experience Plus at Liberty University is a really good example of what this looks like. Few schools are going to be as organized as Liberty is when it comes to this, but, you know, this is still a really good example. You can see, you know, they have portfolio options for conversational French. If you are fluent in French and you can prove it through a couple of hoops they make you jump through, and they are going to charge you an amount to go and assess it and to make sure that you actually do know what you're talking about, because they want you to have some skin in the game and they got to pay whoever's assessing it. But if you can show that in any one of these subjects, then yeah, boom, you get college credit for that. And this is where work experience becomes so useful, because let's say, you know, you're going to Liberty University because you want to be a pastor, but you've been working as a pastor in some level or a church elder. Well, chances are good you've already studied some of this stuff and might be able to just earn this college credit based solely on what you've already been doing in your own time. Portfolio credit, though, can be a little bit time consuming because yes, you are probably trying to write some essay. Yes, there's probably going to be a little bit less guidance and less structure than with something like CLEP or Say.com, where it's just a very simple metric you're trying to hit to be able to pass. You're proving expertise more so than you're proving a baseline knowledge. So very, very useful, very beneficial, but you are going to put in the work to get it. Next up, we've got accelerated and/or intensive classes. And I actually have a really great example of using these to my advantage, because when I was going through my master's program, I had to take 3 courses every semester. And there was one semester where I showed up to school a week early and there was an intensive going on and I took it, and every day day for like 8 hours straight. We would, be in lectures, doing projects, working on stuff with classmates. And then over the course of the next 8 weeks, half the semester, we would submit homework as it came due. Well, then during spring break at the halfway mark, I had another intensive where, did all the lectures, knocked them out in 1 week, and over the next 8 weeks, did the homework that was still left over. And on top of all of that, my third class was like a thesis prep class, a thesis proposal. So I didn't actually have any classes for that. So literally for an entire semester, except for 2 weeks, I was never in class. It was really cool. I had a lot of freedom that semester. But because I took those intensive courses, I might have been able to fit in a fourth or a fifth class just because of how things were structured. And it saved me a lot of time and helped me earn college credit quicker. In some schools, it'll just be a 1 or 2 week long deal. And after that 1 or 2 weeks, you're done. I mean, imagine if all of college was just 2 week long classes where you just did one class at a time and really focused on it. I mean, you'd be done in 80 weeks. You'd probably be pretty tired after the first 3 weeks, but it would be very cool. Next up, we have Coursera. Coursera is going to be really useful for tech and business in particular, though they have a lot of other availabilities as well. They are generally going to cost $60 per month, though they often have deals where you can sign up for a whole year for much, much less. But what I really like about them is that while yes, their individual courses are going to be harder, much, much harder than either Study.com or Sophia, the cool thing is that when you get a certification from Coursera and transfer it in as college credit to your school, you are typically going to get 3 or 4 classes worth of credit. That's 9 to 12 credits. And I don't think that a lot of these are 3 to 4 times as hard as a regular, Study.com course, but you're going to get 3 to 4 times the benefit, and it's at a really good price. And it's often going to be one of the best places to get credit for really, really technical skills. And there's something that they do that I think is especially cool. Look here how they say explore roles. So we've got data analysts, project managers, so on and so forth. What they are doing there is something that I don't think any of these other providers really focus on, is they are saying, hey, what job do you want to have? A lot of people say, hey, what college degree do you want to have? And it makes us all think that the college degree is the goalpost. Once I have that college degree, I've got it made. No, Coursera recognizes that this is about your career. This is about what you want to be doing. It's about the skills you want to have. And yes, do you need a certification to get there? Do you need a degree to get there? If so, they'll help you out. If not, move on to the next thing. They are doing it right, and I love this option. And finally, we have basically what's like an institutionalized version of almost everything else on this list. So the whole focus of all this is basically prior learning assessment, where we say, hey, people already know things. Is there a way where they could, study up a little bit and then they could go earn college credit for that? Or, if they're very ambitious, could they just learn that information and then go take that test, even if they didn't know as much about it before? Well, there are schools out there that want to use this process to help people graduate even quicker. And what they're called is competency-based learning. So there are schools like WGU that offer competency-based degrees, where basically you go in and say, hey, I want to get a business management degree. And then every single course at WGU is at your own pace. So you pay for a semester, for a term. And here you can see for this degree, it is going to be $4,000-ish for 6 months. And during those 6 months, you can knock out as many courses as you want. There are people who have finished a whole WGU degree in under 6 months, but those people are crazy. If you look at this, you can see the courses that they require. And every single one of these courses is one that you can go in and complete at your own pace. So it melds to your lifestyle. If you need a pause, great. If you can work extra hard and get more done, great. And then at the end of the term, we see how many credits you have, and then you move on to the next term. So you can see it's basically like a giant institutionalized Study.com, except Study.com creates recommendations for college credit. The reason WGU can charge more is because they're actually giving actual college credit. Now, a really smart college hacker goes through and says, well, I'd rather not spend, let's say 2 years at WGU. Why don't I go and spend a lot less money at Study.com, transferred in, take the courses that WGU will accept, and then whatever's left over, I'll then go knock out at WGU, thus maximizing my efficiency and my cost savings. But you have to earn a college degree from a college, so competency-based programs are a really, really good option because, let's say you transfer in somewhere between 60 and 90 credits to the school. Well, you don't want to then just have to go and sit in class going slow for who knows how long, paying through the nose for all those courses. Do competency-based. There's options like WGU is a great one, University of Maine at Presque Isle, East Texas A&M University has a great online program, and there's plenty of other ones out there. But basically, transfer all those credits in and then knock out those final courses really fast. And literally, we have people on this channel that we talk to and interview who have graduated college in under 6 months, under 9 months, under 12 months, or they're going at a slower pace that they're more comfortable with. They graduate in under 2 years, and they do the whole thing for like between $3,000 and $10,000. But if you want to learn more about college hacking, about any of these different types of credits, about the type of schools that we're talking about, or want to just, hear from real people who are actually going out there and earning those credits, check out, one of these videos on the screen here. Dive in, see what's going on. I would especially recommend this video right here. Thanks for watching, and happy hacking.